Ubungoma. Ubungoma, it's the healing aspect of African spirituality. It's one part of the healing. Because Guno Bungoma, so meaning healers who are born from music and dance. Because ingoma, sivuswa ingoma. Right? So the ones who have actually come through us to be one with us. And this is, I need to make clear, it doesn't give you a gift. You are born with it. So if I have amadlozi amaningi ngihamba nabo, so meaning that my own soul said yes before they even came in, because I understood that they have probably done this before, they have walked this journey before. So when I incarnated as Dineo, I needed warriors to walk this journey with me. So they are the warriors that are walking this journey with me. So ingoma meishaywa noma ikhala ivusa the warriors that you walk with, ivusa the guides that you walk with, so that that which is gifted in you can be remembered by you. Because from the ages of 0 to 2, we are radiating as God's energy. So we are God as 0 to 2. We are God, right? Because at that point, our cognitive brain is not as active. So that's why you see a child, when they're hungry, they cry. They are aware of their divinity and they're unapologetic about it. From 2 years, your cognitive brain starts to kick in and it becomes functioning. So it absorbs the programming of the adults around it. So once it does that and it moves you from your God self, that's why when you turn 18, like when I did, and then boom, mental illness, then I'm like, because I've forgotten at 0 to 2 that nobody's doing anything to me. I made an agreement. That's why Dineo is here. When I hear toxic masculinity, men are trash, it really bothers me, because that's something that's not actually our origin, because the divine masculine is there to nurture and protect and provide security. And the key principle of Ubuntu, what we find in the 44 laws of Ma'at, what we find in the 10 commandments of the Bible. So this is what has driven me, because I knew that even though I was born in this environment, and when I grew up in it from a very young age, that there was nothing wrong with being in Alex until I stepped outside of Alex. And I hate when people say, well, hate is a strong word. I don't like it when you say you're a feminist, you are an activist, you are this and that, because we are multidimensional beings, according to me. And I think as multidimensional beings, we need to understand as well that in order for us to serve the collective, what is the need of this time? And for me, for the collective to be restored into whole, is to bring those who've been marginalized by the collective. I mean, I say one of my favorite quotes that I use is that Lozi timing is perfect timing. So you have consciously created a space where people can learn from different teachers and people who have different knowledge systems to bring. So for me is, I come from the background of black consciousness. So I was a radical, I was a revolutionary, but and to a point where I refused to wear anything else except if it was made.
Jeez.
And at that time, we didn't have designers like we have, like Abo Makhosa, like Abo Ntozi, that we can buy from, Primitive Native. So these are the people I buy from. We didn't have them. So I kind of look off, and I had dreads in 1999. So when I had dreadlocks in 1999 and I was in corporate, I was labeled untidy. So I really refused when I understood what colonizers did to us. But I realized that radicalism was really not getting me anywhere. It was making me exclusive, and I wasn't really changing the system as I hoped that I would change it. So fast forward to that is that then I was like, okay, let me go back. Then I did local shops like The Space, Big Blue, that had a variety of local designers. And what I like about them now is that they actually use a lot of black women as their designers. They also use, our body type is different. So when you go to those spaces, and then I moved, of course, into global brands as well. And for me, the conscious decision was that I needed to tell myself that spirituality does not equate poverty, because I cannot be inspiring people to return back to their roots if the narrative that they know and understand about African spirituality is, I'm going to do this thing and, be 1856. So an embodiment of things. But when I found that there is great designers who make good, because for me it's about good quality clothing, then you don't have to shop all the time. Because I know we as women like to say, hi, it's retail therapy. I needed to do a lot of, I needed to do a lot of hardcore work to know that shopping does not heal my inner child wounds. So that, because I would buy and I would feel good, but then I needed to buy more. So I was very conscious, and I remember the first time I went and bought IPA to, well, I could definitely afford it. My thing was like, wow, the comfort, the quality. And when I went to Mkhokho, I was like, ooh, like that, because even with the, the other brands that I buy from black women who are selling pre-owned. I'm very conscious about, for me, is black woman first before anybody else.
Okay.
That's the conscious decision that I made. Because, and with those women, I don't need to be their brand, because I don't ask for anything. I buy things. I remember Primitive Native, they're also on Instagram. They actually posted and said, you are one of the, few public figures who actually want to purchase from us and not get stuff for free in terms of an endorsement. So, Napo from Josie Wanabadimu sent me stuff, and he said to me, Gogo, for you wore those shoes, because they make shoes. You wear those shoes, and I made 150,000 profit from your post.
Jeez.
Wow.
And for me, even when you speak, every time I hear people speak, I'm like, I still have to be like, oh, by the way, you're a brand. Oh, by the way, you're a brand. So even being conscious is like, by the way, you're a brand. By the way, you're a brand. But I feel like sometimes when we focus on by the way, you're a brand, because my fear is losing my purposefulness and the intention to be impactful, and focus on popularity. Because brands become popular, but they don't have purpose and they're not impactful to the very same people that they're popular to. So with me, I try by all means be intentional in the things that I do. So even when I'm intentional about how I will always dress in my Sangoma clothes, but make the most beautiful outfits, royal outfits. I wanted to say slaying outfits. We're speaking about slaying outfits, right? Yeah, people call me Slay Coco, but because slay comes with so much negativity. But I think royal Gogo is a nice word or term to, and I'll pair it up with a whole lot of things. But it's a way in which we change mindsets, because we don't just change by preaching and teaching, we also change by embodying.
Jeez. You're probably, and I guess it's up to you to dispute this, you're the most famous Sangoma in the country, if not the continent. And then arguably, angazi noma izangoma idumile around the world. You might be the most popular Sangoma in the world.
In the world, I agree. In the world, I do definitely agree. I mean, last year I was named by Brains magazine, a business magazine. It's an online magazine. It's one of the top 7 global magazines in the world, as one of the 500 influential people in the world.
Jeez, congrats.
And I made it to the cover of a business magazine in my Sangoma regalia. I wish you find that picture and you put it somewhere in this format. In my Sangoma, ngifake izinto zobungoma. And it is such an epic, beautiful picture. No makeup, nothing, but just to say that this is what I want to be celebrated for. I don't want to be celebrated because I wear fancy things or I'm slaying. I want to be celebrated because I'm changing stories. I'm changing the narrative. I'm demystifying the myths around what is Isangoma. Because I'm a spiritual healer and teacher who's trained Ebongomeni, who's trained as an energy healer, who's trained as a life coach, who's trained as a relationship coach, who's trained as a facilitator. So all those different modalities make me a spiritual healer and teacher, because Ubungoma alone is very limited. And that's why in my work and in my capacity, I can reach the global stages. I did a TEDx talk in 2019. That I take my head off for anyone who does a TED, because it takes 6 months of preparation. You need to script it. You need to know your 15 minutes off by heart. And I speak from the heart. I go with the flow. I'm intuitive. But there, you need to go through your script. How you even speak, you can't even swallow words. They need you to be eloquent and articulate. And even they time your pace. You are given a speaker's coach to coach you for TED, because that's a global platform. You would experience a lot of things when you are gifted. Not only Dejavu. Dejavu, it's when you have a moment of I've been here before, because not only Bangoma experience it, anyone can who is spiritually inclined. Remember, we are all gifted. Why are we here? This is your calling, right? You've always been about transforming spaces, bringing new answers into, from the music industry to DJing to there's a lot. That's your gift, and living in your gift that is outside what the world programs and sees as fit comes with huge challenges. The higher your calling, the greater the mountains you need to summit. Similar as me. So you need to understand that Dejavu, anyone who's spiritually connected can have a Dejavu, because Dejavu is remembering a life before this one, is remembering a moment before this one, that I've been here, probably through your dream state. Because in the dream state, when people say, hey, I'm dreaming, you are not dreaming, you are recalling. You are actually accessing archived information of past, present, and future timelines. I feel like people, in an attempt to accept it, they get hyped by it. So I am not encountering a lot of people who reject it. I'm encountering a lot of people who get hyped by it, therefore fall into false programs of what the healing arts of African spirituality is about. So like you'd say, oh, I have Dejavu, so I'm gifted, right? You've got a financial crisis and it's a gift. Really? You are financially irresponsible. Do you know how you're managing your money? Or it's either you are gifted or you're a gambler, or you use your money recklessly. So for me, it's for us to really be paced, as much as we get excited, because now it feels like everybody's coming out. You proud Sangoma. I'm changing, the narrative and doing that. But we now think that African spirituality is the healing, I call it the healing arts, or Izubungoma, or that's what it is. But that's one part. People might be going through a whole lot of other, when I said we are multidimensional, we are made of the physical body. This is what you are seeing here. We are made of the mental body. We are made of the emotional body. We're made of the spiritual body, which also incorporates our soul. Our soul has an etheric. Etheric is our purpose. That when we remember why we're here, is our etheric body. And then our astral, which travels when our body is sleeping. Astral is what retrieves information. If you've heard, I believe in that we have more than one life. I believe I'm an old soul, and I believe I have lived so many lives, and this lifetime, it's my last life incarnating in the physical as a human being. Because the next journey of mine is I'm ascending as an ascendant master. I am going to be seated at the throne next to the great teachers of this world, your Buddhas, your Jesuses, because that's what I've come to do. And I know that I've got 100 years.
That's part of my thing with me being God. I don't want to assign any good or bad that happens to me to external forces, because of the programming we've had from things like Christianity, for example. If there is such a thing as a calling, and if ancestors speak in us, through us, and if I'm carrying the memories and the archives of people that came before me, one of the cool things was we both share Indian ancestors, for example. They are screaming loud to me that I have to ascend to the highest level of being on earth. And currently, for the normal human being, that's a God. Not a prophet, not a king, not a president. It's a God, so that I don't have to answer to any source. If I say I'm a prophet, I still have to answer, which God sent you? If I say I'm a president, who voted for you? If I say I'm God, as soon as I say something, it's full stop. So then I don't have to explain to anyone else, because it comes from me, and I'm learning and working through the environment that I'm in. So one of the cool things with working with human beings, whether you're a healer, whether you're a therapist, is you work with so much psychology and you start understanding programming. But you've just become a master of human psychology, which may be a gift in itself. And the question becomes, now that you can read people, are you going to con them out of 500,000? Or are you going to make them join your cult and make you do funny things? Or are you actually going to unlock this person and be like, I've been watching you and I think you are determined for something so much better. And I think you just need to own it. And if you want to assign it to me as this guy that saw me one day, that's fine. But I want you to win.
I mean, this science has told us that, Southern Africa is the cradle of humankind. We are more than 3 million years old. Our religion is only 2,000 years old.
Christianity.
Yeah, right. And there's no any other religion that's 1 million old. None.
Yeah, but Hinduism is 4,000. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that none is Because
old.
if this is the cradle of humankind, and I'm using Christianity because about 70 to 80% of South Africans are Christians, and even in the world we've got about 1.5 billion followers of Christianity. So it is the biggest, because when you look in Hinduism, which is a faith system before I became a Sangoma that I really followed because of my Indian heritage, they don't say it's a religion, they say it's a culture. They don't speak to gods, they speak to different manifestations of God. So if you're speaking, you are wanting to direct and channel the energy of money, you'll speak to Lakshmi, so Ganesh for something else. But anyway, so I'm speaking with the context and the majority of the people. So if Africa is 300 million years old, and religion is not even 100 years old. So who were we before religion told us who we are? And I think for me, when I left the church, that was my inquiry. But when I moved from the church and went into like this radical black consciousness, I also saw that a lot of everything that we still have as Africans still has its programming in religion.
Yes.
The minute for me you say the only way, I'm troubled. Because that's not what spirituality is about. So even if when I say the only way you can connect to your ancestors is to Patlasbu and Ngezulu, then I have a problem with that.
Where I end currently, and I know it goes further back, is language.
Yeah.
So you're speaking Pan-Africanism, black consciousness, religion. For me, a lot of what we call civilization and whatever today started with language, because that becomes for me the biggest difference between us and animals. Because as soon as you have language, then you start creating constructs. And if one of the early constructs is religion, then it becomes the base for everything. Every story, every law, every system that you create, unfortunately. But for me, once we can move beyond language, and I think that's the beauty of things like music. That's the beauty of things like food, of nature. The fact that you don't need a tree to speak to you in a formalized language, because as soon as that language got formalized, it came with whoever created it and their desired indoctrination or worldview.
So I would say we are physical manifestations. We are God here experiencing, thyself, and by thyself, because when you hear God, in the Sotho language, Ramasedi. So it's about the divine masculine and feminine frequency coming together, and in that unionship, then life is formed. But when I say God, man, there's an image of a guy that I don't like, and that troubles me, because I cannot be wanting to engage with that higher level of consciousness with that image, because it's going to perpetuate and manifest the things that have left me outside of the margin of things. So what do I mean by that? If I say God, I do see a white man,
Yes.
with a beard in heaven, waiting to punish me and making sure that I do not sin.
Yes.
We don't even understand what sin is. Sin is Greek, came from the Greeks. That means you've missed the mark, and we're gonna miss the mark. That's why we are here to have a human experience. We're gonna miss the mark all the time, because we are God experiencing. If you read the Conversations with God by Neil, it speaks, we are God experiencing thyself here. So if we then want to be like, no, but we were highly God in our purity and innocence from 0 to 2, then we had the programming, we had the religion, we had the cultural belief systems, we had the environmental contexts, we had a lot of things that programmed us. Then it moves us from our God self. Then we started seeking God outside of ourselves, because everything said God is outside of you. I don't believe in that concept of God, because why that is so that people don't have to be held accountable and responsible.
Yes.
Colonizers don't have to be held accountable and responsible for the injustices, the slavery, I almost said something, but because I don't know, basically, amanyala bawenzile, right? Right? Inyuva ranks le bayenzile kubantu abamnyama, and we can just turn the other cheek, and we can say, Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they're doing. Because even the whole Christ consciousness, we're confusing it. Because when I have these, when I get into conversations with Christians to say, yeah, Mara Christ has risen, it's on the third day, that's us. There is a divine number in African spirituality. things happen in cycles of 3, because it's when the Trinity comes together. It's when the sacred triad, which is now called the Trinity, we call it the sacred laws, the sacred logos, and the sacred order. So what is the order? Umntwana, there's an order for us for conception, duration of pregnancy, and that's why we had people who would hold space for umfazi to make sure that child comes at full term, because your pelvic bone will be ready by then. You can then deliver the way that you need to be delivering. So there is an order in everything that we did as Africans. It's just that well, as we know, it is not captured. Because I had another disagreement with another scholar who said, yeah, our information as Africans was not held in books. I'm like, that's an assumption. It got destroyed. I mean, when we speak about one of the biggest libraries, it went all the way from North Africa to East Africa. That was underground. And what did Alexander the Great come and do? Yeah, but no, they stole the books and bent it. And who is he to his Greek people? A hero, somebody to be said, one of the greatest warriors, right? But and who is Shaga? I remember when I was at Metro and one of the people said, I can't believe you are promoting somebody who sold us to slavery. And I said, be careful which history books you are reading, whose narrative. You cannot be telling me history that favors the hunter because we were the hunted. So everything about the hunted will have to be distorted to make the hunters be like they saved us, you rescued us. I know this question is going to come from people to say, yeah, Mara, if we had our thing together and we were all spiritual, what happened? What happened? Why did we get colonized? Because we had land, we had everything that we did. When we forgot to say that there is this sacred triad that we need to follow, when we started tampering with the templates that when we became incarnated and became humans, we were given organic templates on how to operate, then things went disordered. Then that's when what we call the reptilians or the colonizers or whatever word, or the white supremacists came, and they started to destroy, because then they found a way, and they didn't come here and say, oh, look at the mirror. They didn't. They came, and they came with the seeking of wanting to be one of us. So that's why I don't also sometimes agree with when we become extremely revolutionary, like ban everything. Because I come from that movement. I come from the Marcus Garvey movement, Africa for Africans, Asia for Asians. But that is because what about us, who my grandmother is Indian. But if we say Africa is the cradle of humankind, it means all forms of humankind that left Africa to go, because we were going to discover what was outside our continents. Abantu manje umuntu uthi uthwasa umdawu, right? In the Bangoma thing, like, hey, umdawu buyaphi wena, why are you speaking this funny language? Or umuntu athi hayi uyothwasa umdawu ke Motswana sizulu lona le sisetsa kae re kena kae go dilong tsa matsulu lona le tlo re botsa, not understanding gore what is currently happening. We need to return back to our essence, because even ebungomeni there's a lot of fragmentation, there's a lot of distortions, there's a lot of divisions, and that comes from religious programming. Mina ngithwasa indawo I'm better than lo thwasa isiXhosa. Hayi kaloku ndenza ithonge lemhlophe ndaqhela ebhoke eziyi-20 wena you see, that's religion, because it wants to conquer by dominating and controlling. I say religion is a very narcissistic system, because it's about me, right? Spirituality is like
us.
Spirituality is what the sun is. If you look at the metaphor of the sun, we've got sun in Africa, Europe has sun, Asia has sun, right? So meaning that in the way and that the rays are beaming, it's not the same. But do you see the sun rays competing when the sun sets? When you say Africa, you are giving more vitamin D, and you have melanated people who are immune to a lot of things. And people don't know that being melanated means that we are immune to a lot of things. That's why we would want to diss black-skinned women or black-skinned, darker-skinned people. Because vitamin D, I mean, what happened during COVID? Hey, Tony vitamin D, right? Knowing for us what is happening right now. Scientists are wanting to marginalize us because they're struggling to understand their predictions, because that's what I'm saying. Don't tell me that you only believe in what science tells you, because those facts can be manipulated and distorted to meet whatever program they want to push. Angisho they confused with the Africa rates we predicted, these deaths we were seeing, this misfortune, because we needed to push whatever agenda we needed to push. What happened? Yeah, understand what happened when we in January 2021 we were having almost 3,000 infection rates of COVID. It went so, but within that 2 weeks it went down drastically. Science can't explain it. It makes sense for our new year to be in spring, because new is about newness, right? The old has died, because one of the sacred orders is that things happen in rhythm, and we need to respect the rhythm of nature, but we're not. Why is it Lupega so? Because one of the orders is to say that everything we celebrate, rituals we perform, have to happen in that cosmic order. Our cosmic order is messed up because we celebrate New Year on the 1st of January. But we way past the New Year phela by that time, because on the 23rd, and that's why bathi ubona ukuthi abantu bayahlanya ngoba ihlahla ziyaqhuma, that is our sign. So for me to say I know everything about the African calendar, I know a lot, but this one I don't. I've been also watching Twitter quite a lot. I moved away from it when I got trolled myself. And it becomes quite disheartening that we are so invested in making mockery of our own.
Yes.
We are so invested in making mockery of our own. I want to repeat that.
Yes.
Because that which you pull down in a black person, you're pulling down on yourself. The fact that you will comment and retweet 100 tweets that make mockery of a black great person shows that you feel like you are a nobody as a black person. Because abelungu abanasikhathi salezo zinto. Instead umlungu ubheke ukuthi uzokunikeza i-contract kanjani ngoba ufuna uku-extenda ngale, and they're thinking of their cousin electrician, they're thinking of those things. But we are busy watching those who are trying to actually do something and break the stereotypes of black equates nothingness. When it becomes excellent, it becomes questionable. I was trolled for having snakes, shooting it. I was trolled for being expensive, and I'm a scam, because there has never been a sangoma that comes out and unapologetically, I don't want to be called a traditional doctor. What do you mean by traditional doctor? Sangoma, who is an African spiritual healer, because the essence of what I heal is understanding where are things stuck in your spirit. I think for me, when you are running from yourself, you will seek yourself in many places.
True.
And now that I found myself...
Oh, wow. What a punchline. Please say that again. When you are running from yourself?
You will seek yourself in all these places. But once you find yourself, you don't need to seek anymore. And that's why I dalang kudla, because I was running away from myself.